all my fellow nerds out there? Can you dig it? Alright, welcome back. As this recording is coming out, it's coming out in February. You know what that means.
Valentine's Day is coming up.
Boo.
We should probably introduce ourselves first.
Hi, my name's Mike.
And I'm Julia. Mike keeps forgetting that we need to introduce ourselves because we might have new podcast listeners.
Oh, well. I'm a forgetful tyrant.
So, anyways, yeah, like Mike said, that this is going to be our first video for February.
Yeah, it means this whole month we're going to talk about love movies.
I'm excited because I love romance movies. Romance, drama, all that. Romantic comedies, I like those too.
Those are terrible. Even he agrees with me.
No. He's talking about my dog. My dog's, hanging out with us too. So, last week's hint was... Pull it up here. It was... You can't be in love without determining your future. Now, we pulled up this hint before we had actually watched the movie. And we did not hear this line in the movie. So we think that it was probably in the Japanese version of this movie. So we are going to be talking about a Studio Ghibli movie called...
Yes. The Whisper of the Heart.
Yes. So, this movie came out, in the late 80s.
90s.
Was it the late 90s?
90s. I think 90s. It was 95.
So, it's a fairly oldish movie.
Pretty awesome, though.
Yeah. I mean, I can always look up real quick and see when Whisper of the Heart came out. So if you aren't familiar, this is actually a Studio Ghibli movie I hadn't seen yet. When I did watch, so I finally got to see this one. And I actually really, really liked it. The ending was a little odd. And we'll get to that. But other than that, I did really enjoy this movie. Mm-hmm. Do you want to start off? Okay, yeah, 95.
Came out in 95?
Yeah.
Alright. Well, it's pretty much... Alright. It opens with a girl named... I'm going to let you say it because I...
Oh gosh, I forget her name.
Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry about this.
I watched it a couple weeks ago, and I completely forgot. Shizuku. Shizuku is her name.
Why I ask her the name is because I'm terrible pronouncing Japanese names, so I don't butcher it, so I go straight to Jules.
Yeah, okay, so her name is Shizuku. Sorry about that. I completely forgot her name. But yeah, so it opens up with Shizuku, and I think she's at home.
What it is, it opens up with the song by, if you guys know who John Denver is, you might know the song Country Roads, because they pretty much play it out through the whole movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, someone must really love John Denver.
Yeah, they did play it quite a bit.
And pretty much it just opens up with
Shizuku
coming home from the supermarket with...
That's right.
Coming home through the supermarket and with milk, pretty much. And throughout the whole thing with the credits, you hear the song Country Roads. She goes home. Her mom's there, who's in college, I think, getting a degree or a master's in something.
Yeah, because they said something about she was working on her thesis later on in the movie.
Yeah, and her dad is also, I think, a librarian or a computer technician for the library.
It might be a little bit of both.
Yes. And they live in a small apartment. You know, those small Japanese apartments.
Their apartment is just cluttered to high hell with books, it looked like.
Well, I think because of their parents are like academic.
Yeah, they're academic type parents, yeah.
But they also don't care about her, too. She's like, they know she's a good kid. She won't do anything stupid.
Yeah. So she, it is summer break for her when the movie starts. And she was trying to read, I think she said 7 books?
I think it was 20 books.
Yeah, because she said she had 7 left. So she was trying to read like 20 books during her,
summer break.
Yeah, during the summer break. And she happened to be looking through her books and, because believe it or not, children, back in the day, you had to use these cards at the back of the books. That's how you signed out your books.
Yeah, I feel old now.
I know. I feel old too. Yeah, so they didn't have any of this computer mumbo jumbo now, where you just go up and scan the barcode on the book and you're good to go. Now.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it was.
This is actually how it had these little cards in the back, and you just signed your name on them.
And they put like a little stamp.
A stamp on when they're due back and stuff like that. So she starts noticing that this guy's name is on all of her books. And the guy's name is Seiji Amasawa.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, oh, I would like to meet this guy because it seems like he's read every single book that I have. So the next day she goes to school to meet up with her friend Yuka, I think was her name. Yeah. And she ended up they're at school, and Shizuku goes to the library because she wanted to check out more books, because that was her goal, was to read 20 books. And she actually managed to get one that no one had signed out yet. But it was donated to their school by an Amasawa. So, she meets up with her friend, and I guess they had to sing a song or something for their graduation that was coming up.
She was what was Shizuku? Shizuku. What she does is she's writing the lyrics for their graduation, and pretty much, if you hear the tone, it's pretty much country roads. So pretty much kind of like a Weird Al thing, but not a parody though.
Yeah. So then we find out that Yuka has a crush on one of Shizuku's friends and one of their classmates. And then they leave, and then Shizuku has to go back because she forgot her book.
Mm-hmm.
And Seiji, well, we don't know that it's Seiji, but he's there. And she doesn't get his name, and she's just like, he said something about the book, because it was like a book on fairy tales, and he said something to her about it. And then he said that her lyrics for their song was corny. And she does not like this guy at all when she first meets him.
Nah, she kept calling him a jerk.
Yeah, she really disliked him.
Oh yeah. Then, after a while, her older sister comes home from college.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. She's like, she's more responsible, but
she's also very overbearing, I guess. Bossy, really bossy.
Yeah, because she said, look at this, the dishes in the sink and stuff, because, and I'm like, well, think, her parents are, like, highly educated. They're working on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that this kid's also smart, too. She's busy. Of course shit's going to pile up.
Yeah. Her sister, I really didn't care much for her sister, to be completely honest. I really didn't like her. But yeah, so her and Shizuku shared a room. Shizuku was on the bottom bunk, and her sister was on the top bunk, and it looks like the bed kind of split the room in two. So then her sister had one side, and then Shizuku had the other side.
It was actually bunk beds, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. She had the bottom bunk. Shizuku had the bottom bunk. Her sister had a top bunk. And the bed separated the room.
Oh.
So her sister had one side and Shizuku had the other.
I don't know. I can't understand that stuff.
So, because there was a desk. It looked like there were 2 desks in there and all of that. So as the movie progresses, Shizuku goes back to school and all of that. She goes to take her father his lunch one day, which was, I think, during summer break still.
It's during summer break, and her older sister has to take it, and she's like, nah. And she's like, okay, you do all the cleaning in the apartment, and I'll go take it. And she's like, see ya.
Yeah.
That's being played for.
That would be me too. So Shizuku, on her way, she's taking the train and all that, because this is in Tokyo. And she took the train and everything. She's taking the train and all of that. And she meets this cat on the train. And she's trying to become friends with the cat. The cat wants nothing to do with her. But then she ends up following this cat wherever the cat's going. And the cat eventually led her to an antique shop. So she goes into the antique shop and she sees this statue of this cat. And we find out later that the cat is named the Baron. Which Mike says that the Baron is the main character in Return of the Cat.
Yeah, or the Cat Returns.
Cat Returns, whatever. Right. It is not a sequel or anything to Whisper of the Heart, but
like I said, it's like its own thing.
Yeah, so if you guys watched, Studio Ghibli movies seems to always have some sort of like Easter egg like that. Like I noticed there was a book called Totoro.
What? Yeah.
There was that, and there was like another thing that was familiar, and I cannot remember what it was, but it was also from a Studio Ghibli movie that I had seen, and I can't remember what it was. But basically just,
but yeah.
They have like little Easter eggs like that.
Oh, there's also another Easter egg in the antique shop too.
Which is?
Okay, you remember the antique owner, shop owner of what's his name?
It's Seiji's grandfather. We
yes,
find out. Yeah.
Seiji's grandfather. Well, you know that little piece he had that was for the grandfather clock?
Yes.
And he told her it probably won't do anything because you know how old it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he restored that old clock. But when he puts that little key to wind the clock, if you look really close and try to catch it real fast, because this is one of those things that you'll miss if you blink. On the face where the gold part is, it says Porco Rosso.
Yes, I did see that. That's what I was thinking of, and I couldn't remember what it was.
It was one of those, and I was like, rewatching, I'm like, it's one of those things you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, so right there's at least 2 Easter eggs that I saw. If you guys have seen the movie, and if you've seen any other Easter eggs besides those, put it down in the comments below so we can go back and look at them.
Yes, and like I said, after he put the little thing into the clock, he winds it up, and amazing stuff happens with the clock. Like on the bottom part, you got these little dwarves mining.
It looked like something from like Snow White.
And you have this that little piece that he put in. What happened is there's a little door that comes out of the face of the clock, and I guess this little piece is a dwarf king, and he's looking at this little sheep that the gear turned and it turned into a fairy.
Yeah.
And he was given the story that the king of the dwarves loved the fairy so much, but she was cursed to be a sheep. But around 12 or so, she became a fairy, and he comes from the underground to see his beloved.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the story. Gosh, I cannot remember the name of it, but it's a Japanese folk story, and it's about a shepherd. I think it's a shepherd and a princess are in love with each other, and they were cursed to be apart except for one day a year where they are able to cross this bridge to be able to be with each other. And it's just one day a year that they're able to do that.
It also kind of reminds me of that movie, what's it called? Brigadoon?
Never heard of that movie.
Old Gene Kelly movie. About it takes place in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And this little town disappears every so many years.
Mm-hmm.
This like fog will come in, and you won't see the town no more. It's gone, but it will come back for many years because there's a saint that saved this little town from a witch's curse, and you get the point. And there's a part where Gene Kelly falls in love with a woman from that little town called Brigadoon, and you get the point.
Okay.
Yeah, he won't be able to see her until so many years later.
Okay. So as she's leaving the antique shop, she runs into the boy. We still don't know his name at this point.
Nah.
We don't find out his name until much later in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But he's telling her about the cat.
Which is named Muta.
Yeah. So, anyways, she gets to the library. She gives her dad his lunch, and she's ticked off because the boy pissed her off.
Calling her a pig.
Yeah. And which he knew that the food that she was taking to her dad wasn't for her. He was just teasing her. It's kind of like the boys tease the girls they like type of thing.
I never understood that crap.
I don't either, because, I mean, it's weird. I don't know. I always got teased by boys when I was in school. It didn't mean that they liked me.
Yeah, same here.
Like, one of them was a dick. Like,
I got teased by girls, and
yeah, but
they never loved me.
But they never said that girls tease the boys they like. It's always the boys tease the girls they like.
Well, sometimes it's also the girls doing the same thing. It's vice versa.
I've never heard that before.
Well, maybe because maybe it never happens to you.
Yeah. Anyways, Chewy, hush. Anyways, so, she's, like, all pissed off. I think she grabbed a book to read while she was waiting for her dad or something like that, or she went home, something like that.
No, I think she stayed, find a book to read and then home.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, now school has started. She goes to school, and they have this character, and I'm sorry, but I don't remember his name, but he is a childhood friend of Shizuku.
Oh, I know you're talking.
And he happens to be the one that Yuka has a crush on.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So there is this scene in the movie when they're at school where the guy, he asks Shizuku to do something, like study or something, and she was like, oh, no, I'm not really good at studying. She's like, why don't you ask Yuka to help you? Because Yuka is, great at studying. And that kind of ticks off Yuka a little bit. And then, we also find out that Yuka got a love letter over the summer from it was the guy's, or this boy's name, I can't remember his name, but it was this boy's friend sent her this love letter. And she's like, I don't know if I want to reply to it or not, because I like somebody else. And, so he actually had cornered her, they go to the teachers. What? Did you find his name?
Boy's name is
Sugimura, I think. Yeah, Sugimura is his name. That's the boy that Yuka likes. So they go to the teacher's lounge, and because Shizuka wanted to get information on Amisawa, and she was like, do any of you know Amisawa? And they're like, oh yeah, and they said he was like a doctor or something. And then they said that his grandson went to their school as well.
Oh, yeah. I think after they got the information, they ate lunch with the nurse.
Yeah.
And the nurse gave out who the person was. And she realized who he was.
No, it wasn't the nurse. It was her teacher. Or the teachers in the teacher's lounge that told her that it was, that he was in their grade or something like that, and that they have already met. Because in the teacher's lounge, her friends were teasing Shizuka about being in love with this Amisawa guy, and she was like, I don't love him, and they were basically just teasing her.
Well, that's true, but when she realized who he was, and she's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, like, she did not, because she doesn't really like Amisawa at this point. She just thinks that he's a jerk, and she's just like, oh, great. I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
So, anyways, they do end up, Sugemura, he cornered Yuka and asked Yuka, give my friend a chance, he's a really good guy, and Yuka's like, I don't want to, why are you doing this? She basically just starts crying, and I don't remember exactly what she says, but she cries and she runs off, and Sugemura's like, what the fuck? So then Shizuka is talking to Yuka, and Yuka told her what happened. And then the next day, she was running late for school, and she ran, and no, that was after. Yuka didn't come to school the next day because she was embarrassed to see Sugemura because of what had happened between them.
Yep.
So, Sugemura, kind of cornered Shizuka after school and was like, hey, what happened? I don't understand. All I told her was that she should just give my friend a chance. And this is where Shizuka fucked up and shouldn't have said anything. She shouldn't have said this at all. And I'm kind of disappointed that there were no repercussions for her actions. But she told Sugemura that Yuka was in love with him.
Yeah, that's kind of not a good idea right there.
Yeah, you don't, if your friend comes to you and be like, hey, I have a crush on this guy, please keep it a secret. You keep it a secret. You don't just go up to the guy and be like, yeah, my friend loves you. Yeah, you don't do that.
No, that's kind of like a low bro. But then again, she does. What was it? What's his name?
Sugemura.
Sugemura asked. You say
Shizuka.
Yeah.
Shizuka.
What she said. He asked her because he had a crush on her, and she says, "No, I don't like you like that."
Yeah. And even if she did, I would hope that Shizuka would be the type of person that wouldn't want to be with Sugemura because she knows how much her friend likes him.
I don't know. To me, I don't know. It's one of those things that he doesn't like her. I understand, but if it was that, I still think it's kind of disrespectful to go after the person.
Well, I wouldn't say that he didn't like Yuka. I'm just wondering if he just never really noticed Yuka because he grew up with Shizuka. Shizuka's his childhood friend.
Yeah,
and sometimes you fall in love with your childhood friends, but I'm just wondering that if maybe he just didn't really realize that there was another girl there that liked him and that he could probably try to move on from Shizuka when Shizuka was like, I don't like you like that.
Well, either way, it's just one of those things that, I don't know, it's just say one of those guy or girl things, saying how a guy shouldn't, say if his friend is a dude, he shouldn't be dating, the dude's sister. But that's, an old bro code thing, which doesn't rely nowadays.
Yeah.
It's kind of like thing with a friend, They say if your friend was crushing on a guy, but he didn't like her, but if he likes you, and even if you felt the same way, I don't know, it's kind of like a great crosshair that shouldn't be.
See, but the thing with Sugimura and Yuka is he didn't actually outright reject Yuka. He didn't even reject her.
Well, that's true too. He didn't.
He just didn't understand why she wasn't dating or giving his friend a chance. And he was just like, and she's just like, because I like somebody else. And she just didn't, and it turned out that Sugimura loved Shizuka, but Shizuka was, at that point, she said that she didn't love anybody. But, that was before, we get further into the movie. So, eventually, she keeps going back to the antique shop, periodically, and it keeps being closed. So,
And she normally goes there because of the cat statue, or the Baron, pretty much.
Yeah, so she goes back one day, and it's closed, and Seiji appears, and she asks him, she's like, I hope your grandfather's okay, and he's like, oh yeah, he just has weird hours, and she's like, I just wanted to come see the cat statue, the Baron, and he's like, oh, well, I can take you inside, so he leads her downstairs and around the back, into like this little workshop looking area, like a basement type thing. And he takes her up and he's just like, hey, you can stay here for as long as you want. Light switches over here and all that. And she sits there for quite a while looking at the statue.
Oh yeah.
So then she goes back downstairs where Seiji is, and she sees him working on a violin.
Yes.
He wants to be a violin maker.
Yes. Yes. And throughout he's given, telling her what the key is for violin making, how you can tell if it's good or not by from the player, but by from the actual violin.
Mm-hmm.
And he's working on a violin. He had, there was a bunch of violins, but his grandfather's friend has a class that teaches down there.
Yeah.
So he wants to hear him, and he can also play the violin, but
Shizuka
wanted him to play the violin, but he said, I'll do it if you sing. But she doesn't want to sing, but she does sing. And what you think they sing?
Country Roads.
I tell you, that it's like the number. And I get it. I love Country Roads.
This song plays a lot throughout this movie.
Hey, I love Country Roads. I'm not gonna lie, but it's kind of like that. It's kind of like how in the Back to the Future movies when they use "I'll Be Back in Time" or "Power of Love."
Yeah. Okay.
But either way, but yes, they play Country Roads, but
his grandfather and friends join in with other instruments.
Yeah, I think one was a mandolin, the other was
wasn't there a cello or something like that? Or a bass or something like that.
And they also a tambourine, then the dude switched to a flute.
Yeah, I personally thought that scene was really cringy.
Yeah, it was.
So, out of the entire movie, that was probably my least favorite part, because I'm just kind of this is just a little odd. It was really weird. So with, Seiji tells Shizuka that one of the things that he wants to do is he wants to go over to Italy, where his grandfather has a friend, to learn from him how to make violins, but he's very strict. And if you don't show progress after 2 months, you're done.
Right.
I think that's about the point that she starts to realize that she's actually in love with him. So then she's starting to feel very inferior, she starts to feel inferior to him because he knows what he wants to do with his life, and he's only I think they're third years in middle school.
Yeah,
because they're getting ready to have their middle school graduation. So they're third years in middle school, which is roughly
maybe
I think 8th or 9th grade, for all you American listeners, because they only have 3 years of high school.
That's true. Okay.
So, because they're
Somehow,
their system's different from ours.
because because I know in America, ninth grade is freshman in high school, but I know in Japan, ninth grade is in middle school. Okay.
That's what I'm thinking, because I think sophomore through senior years would be years 1 through 3 of high school for Japan. If anybody knows, and if we're wrong on that, let us know in the comments below.
Just call us out.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes.
That's how I always figured it.
Yeah, she's starting to. She doesn't know what to do, and I think her friend pretty much told her, "Hey, why don't you just write stories? You're good at writing lyrics. Why don't you just write a story?"
Mm-hmm.
And she decides, like, yeah, why not? Let's go and I'll do that. And she wants to write a whole story in 2 months' time.
Yeah, because she feels like if she doesn't because at this point, Seiji has actually let her know that he will be going to Italy, and he will be leaving as soon as his passport comes in. So, she's freaking out because she's like, he's going to be pursuing his future, what he wants to do. He's not going to be going to high school. I need to do something so I don't feel so inferior to him. Which, really, that's not a really good basis for a relationship to start.
I agree. That's my opinion. Okay, I know people are going to laugh at me about this who have been into couples for years.
Not my fault. I've been in a relationship for 10 years.
Shut up. Because you know how when couples will go in, they'll say everything's going to be split down 50-50?
Mm-hmm.
Then, the older couples will be like, yeah, right.
I mean, that's pretty accurate with the way my relationship is.
Right, see?
Sometimes maybe I'll buy the food for the week and he'll buy the food for the week or whatever, because he only gets paid like every other week.
Yeah, see, and I get that. That's just how...
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's just one of those things that people don't think about in relationship, how it is.
Yeah.
But because watching my parents throughout the years, my dad would never open a car door for my mom.
Well, I mean, Charlie has never opened up a car door for me either.
And, say if I cook food for my dad, like for me and him, he says, all right, make sure you clean up. I'm like, I cook the food, you clean it. He's like, no, that's not how it works. I'm like, yeah, it's always how it works. It's like, and he'll say, it didn't work with your mom. I'm like, Mom knew you were a stubborn old man. That's why she gave up.
Yeah. So, anyways, he actually leaves, and so she starts neglecting everything, like her schoolwork, sleep, everything to get this story done. And she told Seiji's grandfather, I want you to be the first person to read this when it's done.
Yeah, because and why she went to him, not just that, because she was going to do a story on the Baron.
Yeah, she wanted to use the Baron statue as the character in her book.
Yes.
And so she does get it done within with everything with everything just falling apart, or not falling apart, but with her sacrificing sleep and her studies and everything, her parents start to get concerned. And they're like, don't you want to go to high school? And I think she said no, she didn't want to.
Well, first, her sister was nagging at her.
Yeah.
And her mom was not much nagging at her. But still, even when they started to be a little more concerned, they were like... And I kind of think the dad was more reasonable on point.
Yeah.
Saying, it's like, if you got something to do, get out of your system.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're out of your system, you can pursue what you need to do.
Yeah, because at that point, while she was working on the story, she said that she did not want to go to high school because she didn't really care to go to high school. And I think that was Seiji's influence, because Seiji wasn't going to go back to high school either, because he was just going to just go and do his thing in Italy, and hopefully learn the trade that he wanted to get into. she does get it done, and then she does take it to his grandfather and lets his grandfather read it. And he was like, okay, yeah, I'll read it and I'll get back to you. And she's like, no, I want you to read it now. And he was like, okay. So he sat there and he read the whole entire thing. And he said that it was good, that it just needed to be polished. And she took that as the story wasn't good enough.
Well, in my opinion, you write stories. I write stories in our spare time. We do write, but here's the thing. I'm not a professional writer, but what he said, it's true. Like when I read a story, if I'm reading a rough draft, it could be Jules, it could be anyone else's. I'd be like, it's pretty good. Just you need to fix you need to fix it, make sure it's better, understand for the reader, because sometimes that's what a story is. You need to go back, finish it, and think what you need to take out.
Yeah. So, like for example, one of the ladies that works at the place we work at, she works in the HR office. And we have pretty close contact with her because of, where we work and where she works and whatever. Because Mike and I are security for this business. And so we have, we talk to her as she's, leaving or coming in or whatever. And she had actually brought up to me that she had this dream and she wrote a book to it. And she had asked me to actually be like one of the readers for her book when she finished it. And she did finish it, and I did read it. And while I was reading it, I was like, hey, maybe add this or maybe explain this a little bit better. And she took it all to heart, and her partner is also helping her go through it because he knows more of this. Like he's more of like the grammar type of dude, and I was just saying, hey, I was like giving her constructive criticism or not constructive criticism, but I was telling her like what I feel like needs to be fixed because of the way that it was written or whatever like that.
And she also read, I think I sent you a couple of pieces of my work.
Yeah, I read some of Mike's work, and I've also told Mike that, hey, you need to change this, or maybe describe this a little bit better.
Yeah, because I wrote a book, I wouldn't say a book, it's more like a 5-chapter short story about fine linens, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And now I'm working on a book of a werewolf detective.
Yeah. So, I've sent Mike some of my stories, but my stories are more polished. Because when I go through and write them, I'm writing for like a final product and not like a rough draft.
Yeah, that's one thing. And when she sends it to me, I know it's already going to be good. It's all going to be corrected. Also, I'm not good at grammar. It's kind of ironic. I like to write stories. I'm terrible at grammar.
Yeah. So, anyways, when he told her that she needed to polish it a little bit, she took that as it wasn't good enough. So then that means that she wasn't good enough for Seiji.
And the grandfather tells a little story about the Baron statue. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you, it was like the sweetest stories ever talked about.
Yeah.
Because somehow the statue had a partner, and he named it, what was it, Louise?
He named it Louise, but she was actually... No. It wasn't the statue's partner. The statue's partner, the Baron, his partner was the Baroness.
Yes.
And he named the Baroness Louise because that was the name of the woman he fell in love with when he was in Germany.
And, yes, and like he would ask the bartender or something that buy the statue. He said he wouldn't sell it until the Baroness was returned with him. And and Louise told hey, he'll buy it if you just let him buy it. I'll buy it, and so we can bring them together. And truth be told, they never got back because he went back to the grandfather went back to Germany, and he could not find Louise. Mm-hmm. meaning the Baroness and the Baron are still not together. In my opinion, that's like the sweetest, saddest love stories ever.
Yeah. So, they, so she goes home, and her, everything just starts to go back to normal. And then one morning she woke up and she opened up, and at this point her sister had moved out.
Yes, she got.
Her sister had decided that she was going to move out, and move into her own place because she did have some money saved up from her part-time job and whatever. And so she moved out. So Shizuku had that room to herself, and she had opened up the window. And what do you know? There's Seiji on his bike. He had come back from Italy. I think it was like a day early too, or something like that.
Yes, and she gets on her bike.
On his bike.
On his bike, giving her jacket, not the whole no guy giving the girl the jacket thing. But anyways, like I said, she asked why he was doing bad, and he said the grandfather's friend, who's the violin maker, he's like, you got talent and you can be a great violin maker, just not right now. You need more work. Meaning, he didn't take that bad. He just says, you're right, because it will take years to craft this.
Yeah, so he came back to finish high school, and then he said after high school was when he would go back.
Yes.
He basically proposes to Shizuka right there.
Yes.
Okay, now mind you, they're like 14 years old, okay?
Yes.
Who knows, like, in, 4 years when they turn 18, are they still going to be together, or are they still going to want to get married?
Yes, and pretty much the movie ends, and it ends on the song that we all love.
Country Roads.
But it's in Japanese.
Yeah.
So I give the credit, but I'm like, man, Japan must really love Country Roads.
Yeah. So, I actually really enjoyed this movie. Like, Studio Ghibli is one of my favorite animation studios.
Oh, yes, I'm here.
So, and I don't think I have ever watched one of their movies and didn't like it. I will not watch that Witch in the Earwig or whatever. The CGI one.
Yeah, I saw that. No offense, Studio Ghibli, you should you should have sticked with hand drawing or something, because with computer generation it didn't look.
Yeah, like the whole movie was CGI. I've never seen it. It doesn't interest me to see it. But I have never watched a Studio Ghibli movie and was like, I don't like this movie. I refuse to watch that one though because that's CGI, and I'm not into CGI shit. So,
overall, Whisper of the Heart is a good movie. I would recommend watching it. It's on Max, so you can pop it in, get on the phone, PlayStation, whatever.
Make sure though that when you do go to watch it, that you are watching the English version, because they did split it up to where you have the Japanese version and you have the English version. So if you don't want to watch the Japanese version, make sure that you have the English version.
Yes, they fixed that, by the way. They did that, because I know normal time if you want to watch it in Japanese, you have to go to like settings instead of the Japanese. Now they just divide it. I'm like, yeah, that's way easier now.
Yeah. So just make sure that you do have it, that you do choose the version you want to watch, and then watch it, because I really enjoyed it.
It's amazing. It's like only an hour and 50-some minutes long.
Something like that. Yeah, it's not very.
It's not long. It's pretty decent. I would watch it, and it's on Max. And no, Max is not our sponsor. I wish they were. Give us some money at least.
Mike.
Come on.
Really?
Come on.
People know we're not being sponsored by Max.
Yeah, Yeah, but some people are like those.
We only have 18 subscribers.
Either way, people still think if you don't say that, you get in trouble. Because it's easy to get in trouble nowadays.
Not really, because I mean, if you're going to be sponsored by someone, we would say, hey, we're being sponsored by this person or this company or whatever.
Either way, it doesn't matter, right? Just watch it on Max or whatever, and you'd be fine to watch it. It's good. It's great. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. And that's just for the sole reason that the Baron and Baroness did not get reunited at the end of the movie.
Oh, boy.
Okay, I wanted them to be together. Having them reunite at the end of the movie would have been like I was half expecting like Seiji to bring home, like he found the Baroness in Italy and he brought it home to his grandfather so he could put them together. Like that kind of would have made like the relationship between Seiji and Shizuka like seem more like it would be likely to work than just to have two 14, 15-year-old kids be like, I love you. Will you marry me when we get old enough? Type of thing.
Oh, before I forget that, the guy who voices the Baron in the movie, because there's a part in the movie where
the Baron talks.
And
it's like Shizuka's memory, or not memory, but like
imagination.
Her imagination while she's writing the story.
Imagination.
Just say what you were gonna say.
Anyways, the guy who's voices him. You might know the guy who plays Wesley on Princess Bride. He pretty much voices him. Mm-hmm. He also voices him in The Cat Returns, or The Return of the Cat, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But you get the point. He voices him, and I think the voice works with the character.
There was actually another, like, all the other voice actors I didn't really notice. There was another one. She was the voice for Yuka, and I am looking it up right now. Yuka was voiced by Ashley Tisdale.
Oh, yeah, I know.
All the other names I do not notice. Ashley Tisdale and then Carrie Elwes, I guess is his name. Those are the only two that I actually noticed.
Yes.
But yeah.
But, yep. Like I said, and also, like I said, just give it a watch, and you never know. Maybe one day on our podcast we'll tell our stories, but maybe not. But
I mean, my stories aren't really
safe for work.
Safe for work. So
right now you can.
There's a reason why Mike calls me the Smut Queen. So
look, you kind of are how you write. And you're really detailed, too.
I am very detailed, aren't I?
Yeah, see? She owns up to it.
That's actually kind of like a secret for my family. My family doesn't know that I mean, if any of you are listening to this, my family, I write some pretty detailed smut. So,
and my stories are just weird, so.
Yeah, they're very weird. Okay, so anyways, let's get into next week's hint. Next week's hint is Just Breathe.
If you know what that is, watch it.
Yeah, because that's actually one of my favorite movies. And it is a 90s movie, 98 I do believe.
Woohoo! 90s!
So, you're going to freak out my dog.
Sorry.
So, yeah, so next week's hint is Just Breathe. Like and subscribe, comment, whatever, have you seen Whispers of the Heart? Did you like it? Did you see any other Easter eggs? Leave that in the comments below or whatever.
And get back to us.
Yeah. So we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.